continue our What's Inside the Box thing. I'm covering all the 8 Marvel Dice Throne characters that came out. So now we're taking a look at Captain Marvel, and comes in the box with Black Panther. Alright, so let's pop this open. And first let's take a look at the player board. Alright. Very dynamic artwork here, so let's take a look. Photon Punch, the standards that you usually get in a Dice Throne character. And of course, 4 of a kind gains Cosmic Flare. We'll go over Cosmic Flare in a second. Inner Light is gain Radiance. We'll go over that in a second. And then 4 pure damage. Barrel Roll, deal 6 damage and roll 2 dice. And then you have all of those different effects there that you have. And then Aurora Wave, which is gain Cosmic Ray, roll 2 dice, deal damage equal to the total roll value. Up here you have your small straight ability, which is gain Radiance and deal 7 damage. And then the large straight ability, which makes that damage undefendable. Then you have Supernova. Right here, gain Cosmic Ray, Radiance, and 2 Cosmic Flares, 5 undefendable. And the defense, which deals damage and prevents it coming in, and then gains Cosmic Flares. The ultimate ability down here, basically 5 6s, gets all of that. Alright, now let's take a look at what some of this stuff is. So first off, Captain Marvel is a difficulty of 2. And the Cosmic Ray has a stack limit of 2. Roll 2 dice and pick 1 for damage bonus. After attacking, a player with this token may spend it and roll 2 dice, then choose one of the 2 dice and add the value of the die to the damage total. And you can only spend 1 a turn, and cannot be spent on the turn it's gained. Cosmic Flare has a stack limit of 3. It's deal 1 undefendable damage token to all opponents. So during upkeep phase, a player with this token deals 1 undefendable damage per Cosmic Flare to all opponents, then remove one of these tokens. And then Radiance here, a stack limit of 2. Change a die to 6 during defense. A player with this token may spend it to change the value of any die rolled as part of the roll attempt during their defensive roll phase to a 6. And as you can see over here, we only have 3 sides to Captain Marvel's dice. Alright, I'm not going to go over everything in here, because some of the cards are shared, but I do want to show you cards that might be specific to Captain Marvel. That one is not. This is the upgrade for her defense. Right here is the upgrade for her Inner Light, and also another ability, the Cosmic Recharge. She has Inner Strength. She gains a Cosmic Ray that costs 2 combat points during the main phase, and that's a standard. Another one for the main phase that costs 0. Spend up to 3 combat points, then gain 1 Cosmic Flare per Cosmic Point spent. Another standard. Scintillate, nothing, and it can be played as an instant action. Discard any number of Radiance tokens, then prevent 3 damage per token discarded. That's a nice one. Refuel, costs 1 for the main phase. Roll a dice, and then you just kind of take a look at what's going on there. And another upgrade for Photonic. Supersonic, you may spend a Cosmic Ray you gained this turn, because remember that was one of the things, you couldn't spend it. Cosmic Shield, these can be done during the roll phase actions. Roll a dice and just follow along what's going on there. An upgrade for the Photon Punch. I think that's a standard. More upgrades for the board. Another upgrade for the board for mainly the large straight, and then give you another ability. Another upgrade. Flickering costs 0. It's an instant action just to gain Radiance. All of these are standards. And that's pretty much it. The dice in here are good quality. Sorry for bumping that, people. And I'm not sure if the Kickstarter edition had anything different with the dice, but decent quality there. So that is what we've got in Captain Marvel. Let's head over to Black Panther. So here we have the other half of the box here of Captain Marvel and Black Panther. Let's open it up and see what we have. Alright, nice board here. Once again, just great artwork all around. Alright, so Black Panther has the standard attack. And then Stealth Strike deals undefendable damage. This passive ability is really neat. Whenever damage is successfully dealt to you, gain kinetic energy. And we'll talk about kinetic energy in just a bit. This one gets you the vibranium suit, and then 3 kinetic energy. These are your small and large straight abilities, all of which gives you kinetic energy and deals damage. Ancestral Power gives you the vibranium suit and 2 kinetic energy, and then deals 4 undefendable damage. Then you have Triple Threat, which is deal 6 damage and roll 2 dice, and then add 1 damage per slash. And then you get your kinetic energy or draw a card, and then you have the standard defensive roll right here. The ultimate is all 6s, gain a vibranium suit and 3 kinetic energy, deal 11 undefendable damage. Hearing a lot about this kinetic energy. Well, what does it do? First off, Black Panther is a 2 difficulty. So kinetic energy here has a stack limit of 8. For every 2 kinetic energy, increase damage from your attacks by 1. Upon reaching Connecticut, I keep calling it Connecticut, I'm sorry, that's where we are. Kinetic energy stack limit, immediately remove all tokens, gain 2 combat points, draw 2 cards, and deal 5 undefendable to an opponent as an isolated source of undefendable damage. It's pretty neat, especially when you can really get it moving. The Vibranium Suit, a player with this token may spend it to prevent 3 incoming damage and may not be transferred by any means. And also, it is a character that has only 3 sides of the dice. Alright, let's take a look at the cards and see what we have that's different. Remember, I'm only going to talk about what's different between the decks, not so much the same cards that are shared. So, an upgrade to his Triple Threat. Strength of Will, which can be played during the roll phase for 1 combat point, roll 5 dice, and 1 damage for each slash you rolled. You can upgrade the passive ability, which gives you more kinetic energy, which makes it 7 instead of 8. Upgrades for Meteoric Punch, both your small straight and large straight. An upgrade for your Stealth Strike. Tip it is normal. Alright, get that out of here. Vibin. Discard the Vibranium suit to prevent 6 damage. Costs 1 combat point to play and is an instant action. Right. Energize. 1 combat point during the main action phase. Roll a die and gain half the value as kinetic energy. Warrior of Wakanda. Costs 2 combat points. Your attack becomes undefendable. Yibambe. Sorry about that. Costs 0, but you discard 2 kinetic energy to gain the Vibranium suit. Stop at Nothing. Costs 0. Discard 2 kinetic energy to get 3 combat points. More upgrades for the board. An upgrade for the defense. And then the last upgrade for the standard attack. And of course the dice in here are pretty standard. They are good quality, as they always are with Dice Throne. And like I said, this isn't the Kickstarter edition, so nothing special. And that, everybody, is Black Panther. And we'll see you next time for the next one. I think the next one we're going to tackle is Doctor Strange. And here we have Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange comes with the Black Widow versus Doctor Strange set. Alright, let's see what we got. I do love this artwork here. Alright, got a lot to look at here. First we have Augury. He doesn't have a standard attack like the other characters do. So this one is gain Deja Vu and deal 8 damage. Universal Awareness is draw 1, gain Deja Vu and 2 Premonition. Prepare a spell from your discard pile, and we'll talk about spells when we get to the sheet. And this is the spell book that you'll create throughout the game. Astral Incursion, deal 6 damage and roll 2 dice. And then you can add damage, gain Premonition, inflict Crimson Bands, and then cast spells. Mystic Bolts, the small straight and large straight. This allows you to cast spells and deal damage. Wand of Watom. I'm sure I pronounced that incorrectly. I'm not a huge fan of Marvel. But inflict Crimson Bands, deal 5 undefendable damage. Prepare a spell from your discard pile, then cast up to 2 spells. Binding inflicts the Crimson Bands and deals 9 damage. Then the Cloak of Levitation is your defense, which gains you tokens, deals undefendable damage, and prevents damage as well. His super attack, the All-Seeing Eye. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Prepare up to 2 spells among these cards. Put the other cards back in any order. Deal 10 damage and cast up to 2 spells. So what are we talking about when we're talking about spells? First off, Doctor Strange is a 5 on the difficulty. Throughout the deck, there are spells. When you prepare a spell, place it on your passive ability. We saw that, the Book of Vishanti, and then perform the prepare effect. And then when you're able to cast the spell, you choose any card from that book and then perform the cast effect. It was pretty neat, I gotta say. So the stack limit for the Crimson Bands, is 1. A player afflicted with this token cannot play cards during their next roll phase. Just the roll phase. I think we had that confused the first time we played. Then at the conclusion of that roll phase, discard this token. Premonition has a stack limit of 3. A player with these tokens may spend them once per turn during their income phase to activate one of the following effects, and then it lets you draw cards. When activated, one of the drawn cards must be placed on either the top or bottom of the deck. And then Deja Vu, which has a stack limit of 1, is restart your offensive roll phase. Instead of activating an ability, a player with this token may spend it to conclude their current offensive roll phase and start a new one. Doctor Strange has 4 different symbols on his dice, which means that it's often more difficult to get that big ability. Let's take a look. I find it. That's just me. I find it more difficult. Now, we got a lot to look at in Doctor Strange's deck. Mainly, the spells are different. So we have this one, the Flames of Faltine. The prepare effect is deal 1 undefendable damage as an isolated source to a chosen opponent. And then the casting effect is add 1 damage to an attack, then return this card to your hand. Alright. That's a standard. Winds of Watum. When you prepare it, you may remove a status effect token from a chosen player. And then when you cast it, prepare a spell from your discard pile, then discard this card. A few other standard cards here. Time After Time costs 2 combat points. It's an instant. A chosen player gains Deja Vu. Cast Away costs 0 during the roll phase, which is just cast a spell. Foresight costs 0. Done during the main phase, gain 2 Premonition. Some more standards. Vapors of Valtor. A prepare effect is heal any hero for 1, and then when you cast it, you gain 3 Premonitions, and then discard this card. Mists of Morpheus. A chosen player gains Deja Vu when you prepare it, and then heal a hero 3 when you cast it, then discard this card. More standards. Icy Tendrils, which are attack modifiers, and you'll roll 2 dice, cost 1 combat point, and it's all down here what you do. Standard. Another Bolts of Balthok. You gain a combat point, and then when you cast it, you'll deal 3 damage to as an isolated source of undefendable to a chosen opponent. Discard the card. Images of Icon. No effects for prep, but add 1 damage to an attack for each card in your hand up to a maximum of 4. Shield of Seraphim is a defense, so it doesn't during the roll phase, costs 1, and then you follow the instructions down here. Another standard. Fangs of Feralah. Chosen opponent loses 1 combat point for the prepped effect, and then 3 damage to an attack, and then discard this card. Chains of Kraken. Inflict Crimson Bands as a prep, and then make the attack undefendable. Discard this card, and the last thing we have here are the Rings of Ragador. You gain Premonition as the prepare effect, and then cast up to 2 different spells in your discard pile, then draw this card. Then, the dice, pretty standard. I'm not going to show you the dials of everything, it's just all the same stuff, nothing fancy. And that's Doctor Strange, everybody. Join us. Not join us, why would I tell you to join us? Give it a few seconds, we'll head over to Black Widow. And here we have Black Widow. As I said before, this is the second character in this box. And let's take a look at what we have inside. Alright, so. Standard attack, baton strikes. We just saw that Doctor Strange didn't really have these, so it's interesting. I don't know why that's interesting. I'm sorry. Anyway, infiltrate is gain agility. We'll talk about that in a moment. Advance all time bombs, and then afflict a time bomb. Time bombs are neat. All right. This is a passive. Begin the game with 3 covert ops. You may play ability upgrades during any roll phase. If you have at least 5 ability upgrades in play, add 1 to all of your attacks. Then Widow's Gauntlets. Gain a combat point. Deal 6 damage. Add 1 damage per ability upgrade you have in play. Over here we have your small straight ability, which is inflict a time bomb, deal 5 damage. If you have at least 3 ability upgrades in play, deal 7 damage instead. And then your large straight down here is gain agility, deal 7 damage, roll 4 dice, and then follow Add 1 for all of that and follow the instructions, your standard thing. Grapple, gain agility, 6 undefendable damage, add 1 per ability upgrade you have in play. If you have at least 2 ability upgrades in play, gain a combat point. And then the defense roll, which deals back undefendable damage and can prevent damage and inflict time bombs. If you have at least 4 ability upgrades in play, you may re-roll any of these dice. Oh, sorry. Take a look again. Down here, the 6 Yahtzee, as I call it. Oh, we have a cat. Search your deck for 2 ability upgrades and put them into play. Shuffle your deck, inflict time bomb, and deal 10 undefendable damage. Alright. Black Widow is... I can get this out of here. I know, you want to be famous. Rated as a 4. As a 4 for difficulty. So let's take a look at what we have in the cards. Oh, sorry. Let's talk about the tokens themselves. Alright, Covert Ops has a stack limit of 3. You may spend this token once per turn during your main phase to do one of the following effects. Put an ability upgrade from your hand into play. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. If none of them are ability upgrades, you may reveal these cards and search your deck for an ability upgrade. Show it to your opponent and add it to your own hand. Shuffle your deck. Otherwise, put them back in any order and may not be transferred or removed. Agility has a stack limit of 2. Spend and roll 1 to 3 to avoid half damage. Whenever a player with this token receives damage, they may spend it and roll 1 dice. If the outcome is 1 to 3, prevent half of it. The time bomb is neat. It has a stack limit of 2. Roll a 6 to attempt to defuse. Take 4 damage if you run out of time. Okay. When inflicting this token, if you have at least 6 ability upgrades, place it on the 1 side up. Otherwise, place it on 2. During the upkeep phase, a player afflicted with this token must roll a die. On a 1 to 5, you advance the time bomb. And on a 6, you remove the token. Sorry, everybody. When a time bomb is advanced, if the token's on the 2, you flip it to the 1. If it's on the 1, you get 4 undefendable damage from that. Why don't you come here? Come here. Alright. We gotta look at cards. Okay. Alright. Let's take a look at some of the different cards here. We have some upgrades. For the large straight here, standard. Subversion costs a combat point during the roll phase to add 2 damage, and an additional for each ability upgrade played this turn. Another upgrade to Baton Strike, Widow's Gauntlets upgrade, Infiltrate upgrade, and a lot of these have another ability there. Upgrade for Hacked. Assemble, or Assemble, I think is how you pronounce that. 1 combat point instant action to gain 2 agility. Recoil costs 0 during the roll phase. You roll 2 dice and follow the instructions on the card. Now he's rubbing against the stand here. Undercover mission costs 2 combat points. Chosen opponent gains time bomb. If you have 4 ability upgrades, gain agility. Cunning. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Reveal all ability upgrades to your opponent and then add them to your hand. Put all remaining cards back in any order. An upgrade for the passive ability. Elude. If the outcome of the agility die roll is 5 or 6, you may play this card to ignore all incoming damage. That's a nice one. Another standard. An upgrade to the defense. Upgrade to grapple with a new ability. A few more standards. And I think that's it for her cards. Let's take a look at the dice here. They only have 3 sides, which is good. And high quality dice. I'd expect nothing less for Dice Throne. Alright, that is Black Widow. Now we're going to head over and take a look at the characters in the big box. Alright, now it's time to look at the 4 characters that come in the big box. This is, I got to make sure I put it upright, Marvel Dice Throne. And I think this one's in Target, along with your FLGS, but this one I've seen in Target before. Alright, so let's take a look at Scarlet Witch. Alright. Okay. Once again, very dynamic artwork here. The standard attacks from your 1s, 2s, and 3s, I believe. She has one. Yep. Darkhold. Draw a card, gain a combat point, gain Crackle, and probability manipulation. Then you have Jinx, which is deal 6 damage and roll 2 dice. Follow the instructions. It gives you damage, probability manipulation, reality warps, and then possibilities of exploding dice. Mind Blast is gain Crackle. deal 5 undefendable, and sorry, it's pure damage, and roll 1. Gain probability manipulation. If it's an odd number, deal 8 instead. Spellcraft is your small and large straight, gaining you probability manipulation, reality warps, and dealing damage. Pure Chaos is gain Conjure, inflict reality warp, deal 6 undefendable. Bewitch is gain Conjure, deal 9 damage. And then here's the defense, which gives you Crackle, probability manipulation, Conjure, and damage. There is no way you are stopping damage, at least on the standard one. And then the large attack here. Gain Conjure, probability manipulation, reality warp, and deal 12 undefendable damage. Alright, now before we continue on, I want to make sure that at one point in this video, I talk about what pure damage is. So we take a look at the quick reference on the back here. Pure damage, focus, undefendable damage that cannot be modified, but can be avoided. Alright? So, Scarlet Witch is a 4 out of 6 as far as the difficulties. So probability manipulation has a stack limit of 2. Spend to change the value of any of your dice displaying an even number up or down by 1. Reality warp has a stack limit of 1. If a player is inflicted with this token when they begin their offensive roll phase, they must remove it and use one of Scarlet Witch's dice in place of their own until the end of the offensive roll phase. That one is particularly nasty sometimes, especially if you're trying to do other things besides the small and large straight. Anyway, Conjure here has a stack limit of 1. Once per turn, a player with this token may spend it during their main phase to either gain a positive status effect from a chosen player's leaflet. Any opponent may prevent this by discarding a card of their choice, or inflict reality warp on a chosen opponent. Then you have Crackle, which has a stack limit of 3. If a player concludes their offensive roll phase with an attack, they may spend this token. If spent, add 1 damage per positive or negative status effect on their hero board, excluding the Crackle just spent, up to a maximum of 3. Only 2 Crackle may be spent per turn attack modifier. And she actually has 4 separate faces on her dice. Now, it's just my opinion that makes it a bit more difficult to get the big ability, but I'm probably wrong. I usually am wrong. Alright, Snap Crackle is one of her cards. Roll a dice and gain Crackles based on the result. Here's some upgrades for her board. And then this one has a new ability where you can steal 3 health. Another upgrade for Mind Blast. Standard card, standard card. Upgrade for Darkhold. Alright, a lot of standards right here. Hex Shield. This one costs a combat point, and after being attacked you roll 5, and you can prevent damage and gain reality warps. Incantation costs a combat point, is to gain Conjure. An upgrade for the board and has Pure Chaos and 2, and then Chaos, which is gaining Conjure, probability manipulations, and Crackles. Chaos Manipulation, discard 2 probability manipulations to change the value of 1 die. Any 1 die, so it can be... Can you do that at any time? The roll phase. Yep. So, Warped, costs a combat point, change the value of one of your dice to 1, 2, or 3. No dice, discard a probability manipulation token, then change the value of any one of your opponent's dice to a 1. Upgrades for the small and large straight. Upgrades for the defense. You still cannot defend the damage here, you're just getting stuff. Upgrade for Jinx. An upgrade for the standard attack, and then Conjuration, which allows you to do pure damage and gain Conjure. And that's pretty much it. Alright. Once again, we'll take a look at the dice. Good dice. Well done. Alright. And that is Scarlet Witch. I'll come back to the table in a few seconds. We'll take a look at Thor. And here we have Thor in the base box for Marvel Dice Throne. Let's pop it open and see what we got. Alright. By the way, this is one of those ones where not only is there dynamic artwork, but when you flip it, it's got that on it. That's neat. Alright. It's the simple things, right? So he has the standard attack, and then you can throw Mjolnir, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Mighty Summon. Gain 2 Guard Break and heal 2. If you have Mjolnir, gain 3 Electrokinesis. Otherwise, retrieve Mjolnir and deal 3 undefendable from the player you retrieved it from. Odin Force is deal 5 damage and roll 5 dice. On certain results, you do certain things like throwing or retrieving Mjolnir, gaining combat points, gaining electrokinesis, and then adding damage to electrokinesis. Chain Lightning, roll 3 dice, and you deal damage equal to the total roll value of any 2 of those dice, and deal an additional 2 undefendable as an isolated source of collateral damage to a chosen opponent. Lightning Rod is your small straight ability, deals damage, and if the opponent has Mjolnir, deal 9 damage instead, or gain electrokinesis. And your large straight is throw or retrieve Mjolnir to gain 2 electrokinesis, and then deal 10 damage. Bottled Lightning, throw or retrieve Mjolnir up to 2 times, gain 2 guard break, 7 damage, and 1 damage for the amount of electrokinesis you have. Thunder Will is throwing and retrieving Mjolnir, preventing damage and gaining electrokinesis. His large ability here, gain guard break, throw or retrieve Mjolnir up to 4 times, deal 14 damage. Now, why is throwing Mjolnir so important? Well, let's take a look. First off, Thor is a 3 out of 6 for difficulty. And we're going to go backwards because we talked a lot about throwing Mjolnir. You may throw or retrieve Mjolnir at any time by discarding a card. If an ability tells you to throw or retrieve it, you do not need to discard that card. When you throw it, place it on a chosen opponent and deal 1 damage as an isolated source of undefendable. When you retrieve Mjolnir, place it back on your hero board and gain electrokinesis. You cannot throw Mjolnir at an opponent unless it is on your hero board. You cannot retrieve Mjolnir if it is already on your hero board. In the multiplayer game, if an opponent who has Mjolnir is defeated, you retrieve it. Mjolnir works pretty much best in a multiplayer game of Dice Throne, because throwing it 4 times is tricky in a 2-player game. Electrokinesis. A player may spend 3 at any time to draw a card, and that has a stack limit of 4. And Guard Break, it has a stack limit of 2. If a player concludes their offensive roll phase with an attack, they may spend this token and roll a dice. If the outcome is 1 through 3, the attack becomes undefendable. So let's take a look at some cards and see what we have. What's different? Alright, standard. Upgrade for Thunderbolt and a new ability that lets him heal 4. All the standards. An upgrade ability for Hammered. Upgrades for Mighty Summon, and now Boom Boom gains 2 electrokinesis and deals 6 damage. Stormbreak. It costs 0 combat points, and only if you have thrown Mjolnir twice this turn to draw a card, gain 1 combat point, Ground Break, and electrokinesis. New Bottled Lightning, and it has Ricochet, which is throw Mjolnir up to 6 times. Standard. Invulnerability, discard 2 electrokinesis to prevent all incoming damage, but it costs you 2 combat points on top of that. Indomitable Will, if the incoming attack will reduce your health to 0, roll a dice, and if you roll the helmet, set your health to 1 instead. Upgrade for Chain Lightning, upgrade for Odin Force, another upgrade for Hammered. Time to Hammer costs 0, retrieve Mjolnir, gain a combat point in electrokinesis. Power Trip is draw a card, gain 2 electrokinesis, an upgrade to your defense. He is Worthy, change the value of any one of your dice to 4 or 5, costs a combat point, and an upgrade for Lightning Rod. Let's take a look here. Nice quality of dice. I think the Kickstarter not only came with like fancier dice, but I think it came with a metal Mjolnir. It's still the same size, I think, but it's metallic. So that's Thor. Come back in a few seconds, and we'll have Loki. Alright, here we have Loki. This is part of the base box for Marvel Dice Throne. I'm going to say that a lot, by the way. Alright, so standard attack here on the top. Then Antics, draw a card, gain Illusion, gain Bag of Tricks. Confuddle, inflict 2 spellbound, deal 7 damage. And Vilify, if any of your opponents have more health than you, gain Illusion and deal 7 damage, otherwise deal 5 undefendable and choose 2 players to gain Bag of Tricks. May choose the same player twice. Then we have Vex, it's the small straight ability. Gain a Bag of Tricks, deal 7 damage. And then Kneel to Me, which is the large straight, which is 8 damage, roll 3 dice, and you follow the instructions there. Here's a double take, gain Illusion, inflict 2 spellbound, deal 7 undefendable, and Loki's defense only rolls 1 dice, and none of it which blocks damage, but gives you stuff like spellbound, Bag of Tricks, Illusion, and drawing cards. The big attack, gain Illusion, inflict 3 spellbound, choose 4 players to gain Bag of Tricks, deal 10 undefendable damage. Whew, lot going on there. According to his sheet, Loki is a 4 out of 6 difficulty. So the illusion ability has a stack limit of 2. You begin the game with 3 illusion cards set aside, and the player with the token may spend it when being attacked. Present the 3 illusion cards to your opponent face down. You may suggest which card they should select. The attacker chooses any card, flip over the chosen card, and resolve the text. Now, while we have that here, let's talk about the illusion cards. One, which is Success. Loki prevents 0 incoming damage. Attacker gains bag of tricks, and Loki may spend another illusion. You have Partial Success. Loki prevents half. Loki may spend another illusion. Or Loki prevents all incoming damage. So those are the illusion cards. Then you have Bag of Tricks, which has a stack limit of 2. During their upkeep phase, a player with this token removes it and rolls a die. And on a 1, they lose a combat point. 2 to 5, Loki chooses whether the player heals 2, gains a combat point, or receives 2 undefendable. And on a 6, gains 2 combat points. Spellbound has a stack limit of 3. When inflicted, place this token so it covers the name of an opponent's offensive ability. A player with this token may not activate the offensive ability that is covered by this token. A player who has one offensive ability uncovered, only has one offensive ability uncovered, cannot be afflicted with this token. Remove this token at the conclusion of their offensive roll phase. And of course, Loki has 4 different sides to his dice. Alright, let's take a look at the cards. I'm going to put that down there. We don't need to take a look at the player aid. So we have Take Backsies. Choose a card that costs 2 combat points or less from your discard pile. Show it to your opponent. Put it into your hand. Outwit. A chosen player must remove a bag of tricks and roll 1. On 1 to 5, Loki chooses whether the player heals 3, gains 3 combat points, or receives 3 undefendable. On a 6, they gain 4 combat points. Pantaloons on Fire. Add 2 damage. If you already played your Liar Liar card this turn, add 4 damage instead. Liar Liar here. Roll 4 dice and you follow the instructions. How Lovely. Gain illusion. You may spend an additional 2 combat points to gain 2 illusions. Loki into My Eyes. Inflict 3 spellbound. And upgrade to his defense, none of which blocks any damage still, but it does give you some nifty stuff. Oh, sorry, you roll 2 dice now instead of that. An upgrade to his Double Take. His new ability here, gain illusion and deal 3 undefendable. Upgrade to Kneel to Me, and has an a new ability called Bewilder. Inflict 2 spellbound, 3 undefendable damage. Upgrade to Vex. Upgrade to Vilify. Confuddle has an upgrade here, and Liar's Gifts. Distribute up to 3 bag of tricks any way desired. An upgrade to Antics, which has a new ability here, which is basically distribute 3 bags of tricks in any way desired. Upgrade to Mockery. And then I think I gotta correct this one so all the different cards were on the top. Yes, all the different cards there. Alright, then we have, once again, very nice dice. Alright, one more character to go. And our last character for our What's In There series is Miles Morales, Spider-Man. Let's take a look. Alright. Okay, here's our board. Standard attack up here with punch. Combo. Deals 5 damage and gain combo. Wall Crawler. Gain invisibility. Deals 7 damage. Spider Reflexes. Roll 2 dice and deal damage equal to the total rolled. If the final value is 5 or less, gain combo. Here's your small and large straights, dealing 5 damage for the small and inflict webbed. The large lets you draw a card, deal 8 damage, inflict webbed. Venom Punch is gain invisibility, deal 7 undefendable. And then you have 2 defense rolls. You do have to choose one, which is dealing undefendable back or preventing the damage and discard of invisibility to take an additional attempt. The big attack, gain invisibility, inflict webbed, deal 13 damage. Whew. Alright. Miles Morales Spider-Man here is considered a 2 out of 6 for difficulty. So for combo, has a stack limit of 1. If your offensive roll phase resulted in an attack, you may spend this token at the conclusion of your opponent's defensive roll phase. If spent, immediately target the same opponent with an additional offensive roll phase, can spend once per turn. Webbed, this token has no effect the turn it is inflicted or transferred. On subsequent turns, when a player afflicted with this token is attacked with normal damage, the damage type becomes undefendable instead, and this token is removed. And invisibility has a stack of 1/1. When a player with this token is attacked with an undefendable attack, they may choose to spend this token to activate a defensive ability This token may not be transferred by any means. And he has 3 different sides to the dice. Let's take a look at his cards. We don't need to see the turn order one. So we have Invisible Punch, costs a combat point. After being attacked, if you successfully prevent damage as a part of your Spider Sense defensive ability, deal 3 damage. Web Shooters, inflict web on a chosen opponent. We have an upgrade for our large and small straights. Swing Escape. Your Spider Sense defensive ability succeeds on webs instead of spiders. Standard card, standard card. Radioactive Blood. Gain a combo. Does cost 3 combat points, though. And if you're listening, what I'm doing is skipping past the standard cards that every deck has. Booyah! Costs a combat point. Roll 1 and you have instructions here. You'll gain invisibility, webbed, or combos. Yikes! Gain invisibility. An upgrade to combo, but you have a new ability, Web Shot. Gain invisibility, inflict webbed. Milkshake Me, heal 3. Nice Try. Discard invisibility to prevent 3 damage. Cha-ching, gain 2 combat points. Ambush, discard invisibility to add 3 damage to an attack. And I think, we have an upgrade to Venom Punch, but a new ability, which is called Combo Up. You gain combo and deal 2 undefendable. An upgrade to Punch, and that is it. Okay. And here are Spider-Man's dice. You'll notice that I called it what's in there. I'm not really showing you combat dials or health dials or even the tokens because they all kind of look the same. Anyway, that is Miles Morales Spider-Man. Thanks for joining me today on this What's in the Box for Marvel Dice Throne. Those are the 8 characters you can find at your FLGS. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.